Okay guys, we need to talk. Imagine a scenario where Terence Bud Crawford moves up in weight from the welterweight division by 3 weight classes to fight Saul Canelo Álvarez in the super middleweight division. So Crawford versus Canelo. This would be a mega fight in the making. It will be a clash between two kings in their respective weight categories, record level pay-per-view sales, and a sold out, star-studded event hosted in the most exquisite venue. In today's video, I am going to discuss the potential of this fight taking place, some of the obstacles that the boxers need to overcome, and who I believe will win at the particular weight category it's likely to occur. Before I do, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Right, so let's start by taking a look at the current video footage that gets you guys up to speed on the backstory of what these two have said about one another leading up to this point.
I think that's, to be honest, I think that's the biggest fight in boxing. He beat Charlo, Terence Crawford, Canelo. That's the biggest fight in boxing, hands down. No other fighters could compare to that.
Are you tired of people asking you about Terence yet?
No, look, there's I always say, I respect Terence Crawford. He's a very talented fighter, but he just win one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter like Errol Spence is.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't think he's beating other great fighter like Spence. He did a really good job with the Spence. He did like almost look very easy. But I knew Terence Crawford is a great fighter. But you never know in boxing. We'll see.
It's disrespectful for Crawford to call you out at 68, say that he can beat you at this weight.
No, everybody wants to fight with me, so it's fine.
That being a biggest fight possible in boxing, is that something you'd actually be interested in?
It's crazy when you asking about that, because you say, your matchup is coming out of the other weight classes, and that's it, and he's welterweight, so don't make sense. But if the fight made sense, why not?
A lot of people have him at #1 pound for pound. You think that's fair to you?
It's a few people there who deserve to be the #1 pound for pound, and it's fine.
So guys, we have two undisputed champions, Terence Crawford at the 147 pounds or 67 kg weight limit, which is the welterweight limit, and he has just been stripped by the IBF for his belt, meaning that he is currently sitting as a unified champion. And then we have Canelo Alvarez at the 168 pounds or 76 kg weight limit, and this is the super middleweight division. We can see that Crawford has been more proactive in injecting the fuel within media spaces for the formation of this potential fight. When we are thinking about the possibility of a boxing fight between these two, because of the current major weight difference, it's important and quite interesting to look at the significant factors affecting the fight. So size and weight, speed, skill, strength, and pay-per-view sales. They are all notable factors because you need to negotiate terms within a contract for the fight, and those are possibly going to be the things that each side takes into consideration. So let's start with size and weight. Well, both Canelo and Crawford measure up to the same height, so that is 5'8". However, Crawford has a slightly longer reach at 74 inches compared to that of Canelo, which is at 70.5 inches. Now, when it comes to weight, Canelo has the advantage of being more familiar with the super middleweight physique than Crawford. Unlike Canelo, who scaled up gradually, if Crawford takes this fight, he will have to increase his weight almost immediately. So that would mean putting on 20 plus pounds for this fight. Crawford did mention his desire to meet Canelo at a catch weight.
I mean, everybody keeps bringing up Canelo. I think that's weird, because you'd have to gain like, what, 20 pounds?
Yeah.
But They say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, you know what I mean? Catch weight. We can do something at a catch weight.
What weight you think?
Probably like 160 or something.
Still, he later stated that he would be happy to scale to the full 168-pound weight limit in a podcast with Joe Rogan.
So you said 68, but you mean 54, right?
No, 68.
You want to go up to 68. So
Yeah.
so who would you fight at 68? Canelo?
If he win.
Now, Canelo totally dismissed the idea of a catch weight and said that if a fight takes place, he would only be fighting at 168 pounds.
And I can't go down anymore. 168.
Now, of course, these are the boxer's sentiments and statements in the public eye, but behind closed doors, negotiations will take place, and both will need to compromise for what they want to make the fight work. And might I remind you, despite the views of the boxers, the financial gains for both boxers are always great motivators for compromise. Now, negotiations for a catch weight would definitely work in Crawford's favor, and an agreement with the sanctioning belt organizations could also still be made for the catch weight and the undisputed contest to go ahead at the same time. If we take a look at the Pacquiao-Cotto fight, the WBO sanctioning body actually agreed to let Pacquiao and Cotto fight for the 147-pound belt at a lower weight, which was the catch weight of 145 pounds. You guys can go and check this out. So this could potentially happen in the Canelo Crawford fight. A lot of negotiations would be required for this, but it's still possible. I expect the fight to be negotiated either for a catch weight at 165 pounds, where this is the best possible scenario for Crawford, or at the official weight, which is 168 pounds, obviously the super middleweight limit. And then the undisputed contest goes ahead with no hiccups, no issues. And in both situations, for these weights, I expect some degree of restriction for rehydration to be worked into that contract. And this will prevent, Canelo possibly turning up on fight night as a light heavyweight. I'm actually leaning towards the 168 pounds meeting between the two of them, if I'm to be totally honest. Now, when focusing on speed, I would have to go with Crawford in this particular department. There are many things he does to give himself that edge or advantage. Crawford has a very loose and relaxed posture. From this position, he normally throws fast light jabs to surprise his opponent and set things up. He would definitely be first in using his lead hand against Canelo. Canelo normally concedes this and, opts to slip or catch and then, surprise his opponent with a powerful jab. Also, Crawford uses a raised rear heel, and this increases his ability for speed moving forwards. I will say this though, Canelo is pretty sharp when it comes to catching or evading and then countering. He loves executing this against his opponents. In the skills department, I feel Crawford outclasses Canelo. He possesses more variety and depth to what he can do in the ring. Whether it's about baiting his opponent for the counter, pressuring his opponent and being aggressive, switching stances to be tactical, or feinting and being deceptive to outbox and, totally outclass his opponent. Crawford can do it all. Now, don't get me wrong, Canelo is skillful, but his toolkit is not as extensive as Crawford's. Canelo has superb evasive skills and is an exceptional power puncher, but he doesn't often try to outbox his opponents. This is normally where you see Crawford shine. He can craftily outbox his opponent or forcibly overwhelm them also. So he can surprise you. Whereas with Canelo, whenever he enters the ring, you can guess his game plan. Move forward and use power. Simple. In terms of strength, I have to go with Canelo in this. The reason being, I already know what to expect from him at this 168-pound weight. And he has had a long time to adjust to it. Crawford, on the other hand, has to move to this particular weight in a relatively short space of time. And he's going up against the baddest man at that weight. With that being said, Crawford's background of being a wrestler is a factor that could allow him to scale up with a good amount of strength and power for this particular weight. In wrestling, your legs have to deal with the weight and momentum of the opponent, so strength. And you also need to be explosive with your feet to avoid takedowns, to perform takedowns, and just to adapt to situations that arise, so power. And Crawford has the potential to shock us with his strength, just as he did with the Errol Spence fight. And this could be the factor that makes for a more entertaining show. Crawford normally becomes more aggressive when his opponents show their aggression. So if Crawford is able to develop his strength and power to a dangerous level and Canelo applies pressure like how he does, then ladies and gents, this is a fight that could ignite into fireworks. So guys, there's a reason why I believe Canelo has a point to a certain extent why the Crawford fight doesn't make sense. I don't believe it extends to the reasons that he has put forward about Crawford's resume, because he has fought numerous champions, Olympians, gold medalists, you name it. I'm referring to is that Crawford does not have the pay-per-view numbers. That is the reason. He doesn't have the pay-per-view selling power. The market value of Crawford is quite low. So I should rephrase that. It's not that Crawford doesn't have the numbers, but perhaps it's that he doesn't have the numbers that you would expect him to have, given that he's the best pound for pound boxer out there. I believe whoever is dealing with Crawford's PR needs to get sacked immediately, expeditiously. Or actually maybe someone needs to get employed to do that job, because Crawford is definitely not tapping into the cachet of financial reward that you would expect a fighter of his caliber to have access to. So when we take a look at the pay-per-view numbers that Terence Crawford has gained, in previous fights, we can see that against Sean Porter, it was reported that they didn't even reach the break-even point of 150,000 pay-per-view buys. Also, we can see that against Victor Postol, there was a figure placed down for the pay-per-view buys as 50,000. On a more positive note for Crawford, in his most recent fight against Errol Spence, he managed 650,000 pay-per-view buys. So this does indicate that although Crawford's pay-per-views seem low, they may be picking up and building with momentum due to his recent success and media coverage. On the other hand, when we look at Canelo, he's experienced astronomical pay-per-view buys. His numbers are off the charts. With Amir Khan, he had 600,000 sales. And with Caleb Plant, he had 800,000 sales. With Golovkin, he saw 1.3 million pay-per-view sales. And with Mayweather, let me clear my throat, he had 2.2 million sales. So Canelo is used to seeing high numbers. And let's not forget, he taps into his Mexican fan base. Crawford needs a similar approach. So based on all of these factors, I do believe that this fight will be, as Crawford puts it, the biggest fight in boxing right now. Whether it gets made, that's an entirely different story. In any case, before I wrap up this video, I have to say this. If this fight gets made and all negotiations are balanced well for a fair fight, I believe Crawford wins and becomes undisputed champion for the third time, with of course the possibility of a rematch. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Is it a TKO victory? Is it a knockout? Is it a points decision? Guys, I'm more than sure that if we were to ask these two highly professional undisputed champions whether their preparation would tick all the boxes and whether they're ready to take on this challenge, they would provide insightful answers.
How much time do you think you need to get ready physically for that?
I'm ready now.
You ready now?
Let me tell you one thing. I don't need to get ready because I always ready. Motherfucker.
Canelo is crazy. Anyway guys, that's all for now. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Please remember to smash the like button if you have enjoyed watching this particular update. Leave a comment in the comment section if you want to add anything about Canelo or Crawford in this potential matchup. So until my next one, peace out.